Hi, I'm James and welcome to another video. I'm going to look at an unboxing today, Undaunted North Africa. This video is brought to you courtesy of my other half, who actually bought me this as a birthday present this year. Now, it's a nice big thick box, quite a small box, but quite heavy. So let's have a look what we've got in it. So we'll open it up. Now, first thing I've got is an advert for two other games. The King is Dead and Undaunted Normandy. Now I know Undaunted Normandy is a slightly larger scale. Rather than individuals, you are looking at the squads. Now Undaunted Normandy, and here we go, here's the cat trying to get in on the act again. I'm just looking at the authors. Yeah, it's the same two authors for that. Now Undaunted Normandy put me off straight away with the cover, because I'm finding there is a big problem at the minute where people are rewriting history to suit themselves, and the witness the fact we have the three soldiers at the top. One of them is black. Now black units in the Second World War were segregated, and I know this isn't a popular thing to be talking about, but straight away looking at that made me wonder about the accuracy. I have to be honest, I did have a very similar problem when I looked at the cover for this, with the Sikh trooper there. Now, a little bit of research, however, showed me that's actually accurate, in that there was an Indian equivalent of the Long Range Desert Group. So I'm going to possibly look at a video on that. I'm doing a bit of research on that because it is quite an interesting little topic. There is something I will pick up with that later on, but we've covered quite a bit there for just looking at an introductory leaflet. So we have the rule book. Now the rule book, full colour throughout, just look how many pages, 24 pages long, talks through the components, the cards, how the cards work, fog of war cards, which are very important in this game, the different tokens, how to set up, how to play. Now it's not going to be no, excuse me, it could be a complex game. We've got the different actions that your soldiers can take, the combat actions, and it gives an example round. Nice and simple. Game end, and there's a little bit on the historical note, and it does come in. It's not a simulation, it's more about having a game rather than being 100% accurate. So plenty of detail, quick reference card. I do like the illustrations in this, slightly cartoony, but they've almost conjuring up for me, for those who will remember them, the old Commando graphic novels, as the term now, comics they would have been in the day, that used to be around when I was growing up. So we've then got the scenario book. There's some detail on the Long Range Desert Group. Does mention about Indian volunteers, but they're being a subunit, so that is nice to see in there. What you start with, the scenario setup. So we've got a number of scenarios. So we're up to, was it 11 scenarios? 11 scenarios, which I know build up in complexity. It's not a solo game, but there are solo rules coming out. They're coming out in November 2021, and I definitely intend to pick that up. So let's have a look at the counters. Now you can see that is lovely thick card. That's very thick. That's always a good sign. So obviously got the Long Range Desert Group there. I did wonder when I first looked at these whether some of these were slightly out on where they've been cut. But when you look at the actual symbols there and the trucks, they do look right. So it's just perhaps I'd have liked them slightly bit more of the figure on there. So you've got the British troops. You've got an anti-tank gunner with a boy's anti-tank rifle, engineer, quality the fact he's holding a spanner, gunner with a Lewis gun. It's nice to see that the on the cover you've actually got the Vickers K as well. Just see that on the bottom illustration. So oops, stop going everywhere there. That's the cat looking fascinated what I've just dropped. You've got Saboteur, you've got a Scout, a Sergeant, a Sniper and a Staff. I'm not quite sure what they mean by Staff. I'll have to look at that when we start playing it. Obviously you've got them on the other side, so that's fairly straightforward. You've then got the Italian equivalents. Now it's worth noting that there is one less Italian. They've got an anti-tank gunner, a rifleman, scout, crew member, driver and gunner. Okay, and then we've got a double-sided token for the initiative. 3 vehicles on both sides. British have got a gun truck, a patrol truck and a pilot truck, so it's probably more at the earlier period before the commanders were given the jeeps. The Italians have got the light truck, a scout car, which I think is a Saharina, I'm not 100% on that, and a medium tank, which looks like an M1340 or something similar to that to me. Then we've got the Italian markers, everything the same there. We've still got more. We've then got what looks like explosions. We've got, I'm guessing some of these are going to be objectives like roadblocks, aircraft, truck, and so on. Yeah, they're all single-sided effectively. We've then got the cards here. Quite a few cards. Let's look what we've got. These are the vehicle cards. So we've got light truck, medium, it is an M1340, I thought it was. Saharin, yeah. And then we've got the various Chevys. So we've got a nice set of cards. These are a bit thinner, these are a bit flimsier. It'll be interesting to see how well they hold up. We've then got the cards for the different nationalities. So we've got the Allied cards. Okay. So we've got a warrant officer, lieutenant, staff sergeant. That's where the term staff came from, obviously. So we've got sergeants, the anti-tank rifleman, engineer, machine gunner, saboteur, scout, yeah, sniper. And you notice there's quite a few fog of war cards. I'll do a video on the mechanism for this at some point. Then we've got the Italians. So we've got a platoon sergeant, recon aircraft, squad leader. So the anti-tank rifleman, machine gunner, rifleman, scout, tank commander, tank crewman, tank driver, tank gunner, and the fog of war cards. And then we've got the board. Now these are back to the thicker card. You can see there they're definitely a lot thicker. They're not going to bend with use. Just looking number wise. So 21 there. They did get a bit mixed up earlier when I did a check of these, and I dropped some of them, so they have got a little bit mixed up. I should have noted that there were numbers. I think 21 does seem to be the highest number. Oh, that's a nice little one. We've actually got a fort. Yeah, 21, 22, so there are a few more. So 22 different cards, and as you can see, each one is double-sided. So you actually build up the board using these, and that they are very, I think, very thematic. Forts, camps, rock outcrops, roads, tracks. Yeah, we'll quick look at the other side, see what they've got on the other side. That's a nice one, I quite like that, very thematic view. It'd be very easy with this game to swap the counters for figures. You could probably use something like the Perrys or the Warlord figures to replace these on a one-for-one basis, as long as you know which was which should be fairly easy to do. And it wouldn't cost a lot to do that. I think you'd struggle a bit more with the vehicles, because obviously there are you'd need the vehicles to go with it. But you could even use the vehicles as they are and just add figures. So quite a nice little box, some nice contents in it. What I'll do is I'll have a look through the rules, and then we'll look at playing a game with them. See you soon. Hi, and welcome to the quick playthrough of this. This is part way through the first mission, mission 1, which is basically the initial attacks by the long range desert group on the Italians, where they attacked an aircraft on the ground and a mail truck. So we've actually got the the airfield area, and you've got the drum there. What has happened so far is the Long Range Desert Group have managed to blow up the aircraft. The engineer is now moving up to have a look at the oil dump. Now they're worth 1 point each, and in this scenario you need 3 to win. The Italians have secured the mail truck, which is worth 2, so if they need to secure another 1 to win the game, but they have to push for there. So let's start the turn. Now, the first thing each side does is they discard 1 card, which gives them the chance of winning the initiative. Now the British have got 4 cards. The engineer is obviously going to be vital because he's in a position where he can start blowing the oil drums, and he's quite vulnerable at the minute from fire, so I want him acting fairly quickly. The warrant officer is going to give me a chance to react again if the engineer doesn't succeed, and the scout is in a position where he's going to be under threat from the rifleman. So at the risk of being injured before we can do anything, the British player decides they're going to use the 1 point fog of war card. Fog of war cards let you do absolutely nothing, and they're basically there to slow you down and mess you up. Now the Italians have also got a fog of war. They've got the machine gunner. Now he's vital because there's the chance to take out the engineer. We've got the squad leader, who's got the option to either add more cards to the deck or to give a chance to action, and the A after them is the squad. The Italians have actually got 2 different squads. They can only be used with the one. The British just all work together, and then we've got the rifleman who's worth 5. Now he's in a position to take a shot at the scout. The scout's in decent cover at the minute. I think what I'm going to do is the Italians, normally you wouldn't see the 2 sides, you just have your own. So the Italians go for the 5. They desperately want to win the initiative. So what we'll do is we'll start with the Italians. Now they've got the 3 cards. The fog of war they can't do anything with, but we do have the machine gunner. So the machine gunner is in a pretty good position. So we'll play that and we'll take a shot at the engineer. Now the engineer's got a defense value of 5. He's in a cover 0, so he stays at 5, but it adds 1 for each square. So 5, 6, 7, 8 to hit. And it attacks with 2 dice to try and kill them. Or what I could do is attack with 4 dice to try and keep their head down. So I'm going to go with 2 dice and try and kill them. 2 and a 7, so they've missed. So I use the squad leader to inspire. Now if you inspire, you can pick up cards that are down already. So we'll pick up the machine gunner and use him to fire again. So again it's 2 dice, and they've missed again. That wasn't particularly good. Now the last card is a fog of war card. Can't do anything with a fog of war card, so that's just held in the hand for the minute. So now we come to the British. So first of all we've got the engineer. Now the engineer's got, each card's got slightly different options. The engineer's got move, attack, both value of 1, so you could move 1, you could attack with 1 dice, repair, which is when you've got vehicles, and they let you repair it. We haven't got any vehicles in this game. This scout has got scout, which lets you scout out areas so you can move into them. He's been busy up the north end before moving down this end. Attack, conceal. Now conceal makes the opponent pick up a fog of war card, reducing their effectiveness, or he can recon. Now if you recon, you can remove a fog of war card from the game. So they're quite useful ones. But let's start with the engineer, because that's the vital one. So demolition skill of 3. So we're going to launch the attack to try and destroy the fuel drums. So it's got a defense value of 6. And we've easily achieved it with one of them. So there is a loud bang, and that explodes. So that was good news. So I've now got the scout and the warrant officer. So I think what we'll do for that is we'll use the scout first, and we'll take a shot at the rifleman there. Now they're a base 4. They're in cover 5 and a range 1, and so it's a value of 6 to hit. 4, they've missed. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Inspire ability there, which lets me pick up the card. And again, I'll play that card. 9, so it's a hit. So the Italian player now takes one of the rifleman cards, and you start with the ones in front of you. the hand, the discard pile, and then there. That's now removed from the game. So now there's a maximum of 3 cards that rifleman can have, and once all 4 are gone, that is removed from the game. It's a little bit artificial. It probably does work better in Undaunted Normandy when you're looking at squads, but I can live with it. It makes for a fun packed game. I'd rather there was some sort of mechanism for an instant kill, but yeah, it works quite nicely. I suppose you could always create a rule. Every time the card's discarded, roll a dice, get a 10 perhaps, and it's removed, adding in the number of cards removed. That might be a nice little house rule, but I'm not going to use it probably that much until I've got into the game a bit more. So nice and straightforward. Now the only mechanism we really didn't show with that was using the ability to bolster. Now if you bolster, what you can do, in fact I used it on the Italian because I know this and that. So with bolstering, it's got a bolster ability of 2, the squad leader. So what we do is we go to the supply dump and we look through and we can add 2 cards, if it's ability 2, which it says, to the discard pile. So next time we go through, there are now 2 more rifleman cards in there, which means that you've got more chance to activate the rifleman. So it's very clever, this deck building. Do you use abilities to get rid of Fog of War cards, which mean you've got more chance of acting? Do you pull in people who are more important? In the first game I played with this, the gunner had all 4 cards in the deck and was pouring absolutely devastating fire down from those rocks, and it was taking out anything that moved near these 2. This time the British have put more fire down and actually got rid of some of his cards, which have made it more effective. So it's a lovely subtle game. There's a lot of intricacy to it. The cards are lovely and thematic. I like the style of them. It's a very quick play game. You saw there that was a full turn played. Yeah, it's quick, it's simple, and great fun. So I'd highly recommend this if you've got an interest in this theatre. See you soon for another review.